Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Got a little Jimi Hendrix in the building. Jimi Hendrix, the father of modern day rock and roll, with a little voodoo child. Get down with us and rep your squad. 804-447-0601. 804-447-0601. We're going to take an opportunity to go around the room. NFC East. We got some passionate people in the room with Big Rube, Carl Banks, and Marcus J., your host here. Some passionate people about their team, so we're going to take an opportunity to just kind of take a moment, say what we want to say on our teams, and then we're going to get into the entire division, or the conference, I should say. Big Rube, Washington Redskins, what you got?
All right, first of all, we gave our future for RG3, and it was a very good job. My thing is, at least we did something to do something to make us better, because Rex Grossman wasn't cutting it. Now, I'm a big fan. I think we're going to go 8-8. I think we're going to go a smooth 8-8. Now, last year we went 5-10, 5-11. So basically, push come to shove, if we go 6-10, it's a winning season. You know, it's just one of those things where you got to take the good with the bad, and that's it. The defense, on point. You can't mess with our defense, of course. Our offense has been retooled. We went and got some receivers. Running back by committee looks good. Sleeper, Alfred Morris. Alfred Morris, the 6th-round draft pick of the Redskins, is probably going to start next week, and he's going to do some work. Everybody's like, Redskins going to be terrible offensive line. Of course, we have our offensive line issues, but you know what? We're going to get it done. My prediction is 8-8. And the other person to sleep on, other than Alfred Morris, is of course the NFL Rookie of the Year, Robert Griffin III.
Gone Banks, the Dallas Cowboys.
You know what? There's a reason there's a star on our helmet. Clear, simple, and true. We're gonna go about 10-6. We're gonna win the division. We're gonna take it off. We're going to the playoffs. We're gonna get to about the second round of the playoffs. That's gonna be a tight game for us. Got a nice two-headed monster in DeMarco Murray, Felix Jones. The biggest problem I see for us right now is the offensive line. Defense, we've stepped up tremendously. We're going to be blitzing from the left, the right, the middle, the center, on top, everywhere. So this Wednesday night, we're going to see a brand new Blitzburg, as Jay would call it, defense. Or Blitz Boys. Let's call it the Blitz Boys defense. And have fun with it, hooping and hollering, screaming. If the boy gets a pass off, it's going to be a problem. Plain and simple.
What boy are you talking about?
See? Did I interrupt you? All
right, you just go ahead.
Okay. All right. I ain't talking about Pittsburgh. So, on that note, just want to say there will be a championship of some sort in Dallas Stadium. Okay? Turkey Bowl or whatever. Pittsburgh will not be taking another victory. Matter of fact, I feel they're going to lose Sunday night. That's just my take on Pittsburgh. Go ahead, Marcus.
Marcus J. Ain't no half stepping. Thank you for joining us. We're moving close to the 8 o'clock hour. Hang in there with us. We're moving to the socially conscious and entertainment hour momentarily. Our guest for that segment has joined us, and we'll introduce her shortly. 804-447-0601. I want to take a moment to kind of talk about the Super Bowl defending champion New York Football Giants, 4-time Super Bowl champion, 8-time National Football League champion. This year is going to be a tough year for us. We got a tough schedule. We open up at home against the Dallas Cowboys, and we play this year. It looks like we're playing the AFC North. Also look like we're playing the NFC North. So we do have a difficult schedule. I see us probably shaking out around 9-7, 10-6. Carlton Banks alluded to his team going 10-6. If they go 10-6 and we go 9-7, they will win the division because the entire division is going to be tough this year. The Washington Redskins are going to be better. Their quarterback is a good quarterback. I don't know that I'm ready to call him great, but he's going to be good in his rookie season, similar to how Cam Newton was last year. I've seen enough of him this preseason to tell me so. And then, of course, you got to always keep your eye on the Eagles in spite of how poorly they played in beginning of last season. They picked it up at the end of the season, but Thing is with the Eagles, if they don't have Michael Vick, then they're not going to do much. And then of course that brings you to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't believe in their quarterback, and anybody who knows the NFL knows that you go as far as your quarterback goes. Which brings me back to the New York Football Giants. I see us going 9-7, 10-6. Hopefully 10-6. 10-6 I think would be good enough to win a division. But whoever wins this division is going to be the only one from the division going to the playoffs, because I don't see anybody else making a wild card. As far as the X's and O's on the field, as usual, our front four is always going to be formidable. Our front rush, we're always going to have great success there. But the thing is with the Giants defense, the further you get away from the ball, the more difficult it's going to be for the team. Our linebacker core, our secondary, not really impressed about those guys. And we had a lot of injuries coming out of the preseason, so it remains to be seen how well they perform. As far as, another Super Bowl appearance, we can all joke, rep your squad, all of that kind of stuff, but I usually try to avoid making those kind of predictions just because you really never can tell. A lot of times it's teams that you never see coming that end up being the Super Bowl victor, a la the New York Football Giants from just 8-9 months ago when they won the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. So with that being said, I want to talk a little bit. I kind of alluded to the NFC East. I want to take a minute to get an opinion from Big Rube and Carlton Banks on the NFC East. Then we're going to go around the rest of the NFC. Big Rube, how you see the NFC East shaking out? I mean, we talked a little bit, of course, about my team, Carlton Banks' team. What do you think the Eagles are going to do with Michael Vick up there? I mean, I mentioned a minute ago, without Michael Vick, the Eagles are nothing. Do you agree, disagree?
Well, they cut Mike Kafka, the prodigy from last year, so I don't even know who's the backup quarterback in Philly. So, yes, if Michael Vick goes down, there's a problem. And for those comparisons from Michael Vick and RG3, just to let people know, RG3 is like 6'3", 220 pounds. Mike Vick's like 5'11", 195 pounds. So, yeah, RG3 is a little bit bigger, a little bit tougher. He's not going to get hurt as easy. Now, as far as the East goes, ESPN was actually interesting. They said that the Cowboys would go 12-4. They said that 11-5. They said that the Giants would go 10-6. They said the Eagles would go 9-7, and they said the Redskins would go 8-8. And I'm sitting there, I was trying to do their numbers. I'm like, well, who's gonna get beat? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, obviously they went over in their head, so I guess we're supposed to dominate the AFC North and the NFC North, but I don't really know. I just think that right now it's really a toss up between the Giants, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. And the Redskins, we're in a rebuilding year, so I'm looking to, as long as we finish respectable, I'm good. 8-8 will be beautiful.
When aren't y'all in a rebuilding year? I mean, y'all been rebuilding since Joe Gibbs left the team in, 1985,
Well,
86?
he was back a couple years ago.
But that don't count.
That
was a ploy to get people to like the team and follow the team.
I think it does count because when you look at the Washington Redskins over the last 20 years since the Super Bowl victory, and I don't have the year in front of me. I want to say it was 88 or 89 or something.
Our last Super Bowl victory?
Yeah, when was
93.
it? 93. Okay,
92.
I'm off by my years by a couple of years, but they haven't done a whole lot since then, and I think a lot of that has to do with their owner. A lot of people seem to think that having a good owner, a la George Steinbrenner with the Yankees, someone that's going to spend money is going to be a positive for the team. It hasn't always worked out for the Washington Redskins. Now, I don't hate the Redskins. I hate the Cowboys, but I don't hate the Redskins. And I got family members that are Redskins fans. I want to see them do well as long as they don't do well, as long as they don't do well at the expense of my team. So I sympathize with you on that level. So Carlton does ask a fair question. When are the Redskins not in a rebuilding pattern?
As we talked about last week after the show went off the air, we were in a rebuilding year 3 years ago. No, it was like 5 years ago when we went into the playoffs and we won our first round game. I can't remember who it was, but also what was
Seattle.
No, we lost to Seattle.
Right.
That's the year. I can't remember who we beat in the first round game. We destroyed somebody. But the funny thing that also came out of that discussion is the Redskins have as many playoffs victories as Tony Romo.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
but who's also had a better draft pick?
We're talking about rebuilding. I mean, you should be asking. Dallas should be asking the same question themselves because obviously what they're doing isn't working.
Right. Right.
The
thing I'll say about that, Grizz. I'm sorry, I'll let you make your point in a minute. Thing I'll say about that is Cowboy fans. I'm a Yankee fan, so I understand the whole arrogance of expecting to win. I get it.
Yeah.
I am, like someone said earlier, that I'm an arrogant. It was Grizzy. I'm an arrogant Yankee fan. I am, because I expect to win. If we don't win, I'm like, what the hell just happened? Cowboy fans are the same way. The only difference is the Yankees have won 5 World Series in the last 15 years, and the Cowboys have won 1 playoff game in the last 15 years. So my question. And I'm gonna ask Grizzy on this one because I want to get someone that's not invested in the team. What is it? And well, actually, you're a perfect person to ask because your team has a national following, similar to the Cowboys do. And don't get so much into the 6 Super Bowls. I want to get to that. I want to get to the mindset of a fan who expects to win, even when you're not winning, because you had some lean years when you guys weren't doing before Ben came back. You had some lean years.
Mark Malone.
Yeah. So. Tell me about what the mindset is when you got a team that everybody expects to win, but they ain't doing a damn thing.
Well, you look at the front office first, and you see the moves that they're making. I'll speak about the Dallas situation. Dallas, for the last couple of years, knew it just hit them this year that they had a secondary problem. They stuck with Terrence Newman like crazy. They stuck with Roy Williams like crazy. They're almost too loyal to their players on the defensive end, to the detriment of the team as a whole. You look at when they went to on the offensive side, they went out to Drew Bledsoe, right? And Tony Romo was obviously showing promise as a young star, a young quarterback that could definitely play better going into that season. But they went, if it wasn't for them knocking Drew Bledsoe out, of Drew Bledsoe got himself hurt, you might have never seen Tony Romo on the field. So that's the issue with that, the difference between Pittsburgh and Dallas. Pittsburgh's owner does not run the football operations of that team. And we consistently, sort of like the Giants, we consistently have a pattern of where we're not going to overpay for players. We'll get good value for players and in the draft. But you look at Jerry Jones and you look at the way he puts on that 2-tier hat as a manager, as a general manager and an owner, and you have to wonder, do you know what you're doing? Yes, you can have a lot of money. Yes, you can build a big fancy toaster as a stadium, but do you know what you're actually doing? Because you're killing your fans. They have not a leg to stand on over the last 20 years.
And you know what, Jay? You do have a point. You do have a point when the standpoint that we, as Cowboy fans, have big expectations for our team, and the fact that our GM is also our owner, who kind of like confuses the issues. He doesn't have a problem with spending a lot of money to bring in that big name player to try to motivate his team or get his team over the hump. But in that same standpoint, he needs to step away and become a fan versus, both fan, owner, GM, coach, player. He needs to step away from all that, and he doesn't have the ability to do that.
But the defenders,
his son is in there. Go ahead.
I'm saying the defenders of Jerry Jones, the defender of the Cowboys, say, well, if he pay all this money, he should run the squad like he should want to. No, because you apparently don't know what the F you doing. You know?
But who's going to tell him otherwise?
Your fan base should.
Well, he doesn't.
But if you make that 100,000 seat stadium 70,000 on average, he'll get the picture.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree. I mean, this is coming from someone who grew up rooting for the Yankees, with George Steinbrenner as the owner, and I got flack from Carlton just a few minutes ago about payroll. Now, obviously, it's a little different in the National Football League because they have salary cap implications, but just because you spend the most money or just because you got so-called the most coveted players doesn't necessarily Super Bowl champion make you. So I'm going to move on from the Cowboys. I want to move on from the NFC East. I want to take just a couple of minutes to kind of go around the rest of the NFC, and then we're going to move on to our socially conscious and entertainment hour. The time is 8 minutes after 8 on the East Coast. I want to thank everybody that's listening to us, waiting on the Missing Child and the Fish Bowl. We got it coming up in the next segment, 804-447-0601. Call us up, rep your squad. Start off with the NFC North, where you got Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. I want to give a quick shout out to my man PB, who's a Minnesota Vikings fan, but your team ain't about nothing. They coming in last place. They coming in last place. I wanted to give you a shout out because I love you, bro, but your team's coming in last place. So I'm gonna start with Big Rube on this one. Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay. Give me a quick rank. I'm gonna leave Minnesota at the bottom because I don't see how there's any way that they crack the top 4 there.
Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago. If my thing is, if the quarterback for Detroit cannot be hurt, they could easily get second or maybe win the division.
Stafford, right?
Matt Stafford.
Right.
But he gets hurt all the time, which is a problem. And when he gets hurt, it hampers that team because they're all in everything.
I'm curious. I'm looking into how you could pick Chicago as being third, considering they picked up Brandon Marshall, who's now not with Jake Plummer. I want to call him Jake Plummer, but Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler,
yeah. He's back with Jay Cutler now after they were together in Denver. And I think they re-signed Matt Forte to a nice deal. Usually ball players who get a nice hefty contract kind of let off a little bit, a la Chris Johnson. But they have the weapons on offense, and they got they got Urlacher, Julius Peppers. Forgot the
Urlacher's hurt.
Urlacher's hurt, but Lance Briggs. I mean, they got their defense. Lovie Smith keeps those guys in the mix. They only can go as far as Jay Cutler goes. And when you look at that division, I would go Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit again.
Well, yeah, Detroit should be third in that division if Cutler can step up and rekindle his magic with Brandon Cutler. I mean, not Brandon Cutler, Brandon Marshall.
Yeah.
Well, Ruben got his hand up.
Because he wants to say something.
He wants to say something. He had his moment. Green Bay is going to crush that division, plain and simple.
The only reason Green Bay is on top of that division is because of Aaron Rodgers.
They're definitely going to crush it, Ruben.
I mean, the reason why Chicago is third on my pick because they're going against two high-powered offense. They haven't been able to beat them, and your defense can be good, but you take out Brian Urlacher, that's a huge part of your defense. And let's just be honest, they can't really stop people from scoring.
I look at the NFC South. I see Tampa Bay, Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta. I see New Orleans, in spite of what they got going on down there with all those suspensions because of the thing that went on, we know, last season with them, what was it, Bounty Gate. They're losing their coaches, but they lost one player that's of note, and they bringing back the rest of their players. New Orleans has been the class of that division for the last couple of years, so I see it ranked with New Orleans, Atlanta, Carolina, and Tampa Bay is how I got it. Carlton Banks, what you got?
Tampa Bay is going to be at the bottom of that division as always, although they did make some improvements in the run game. Carolina's going to sleep up and get somebody, I think. I really do.
Doug Martin is he speaking of.
Garrett
Blunt.
Big Rope.
The way you said it, the one person that New Orleans didn't lose was their true leader, their true coach. Now it's Brett. I mean, that's Drew Brees. I mean, that's an offensive team. Defense just is on the field. That's a purely offensive team.
And because of that, I will say Atlanta might sneak in there. And the only reason I say that is because most second-year, third-year receivers that come into their own, and they got two outstanding wideouts in Roddy White and Julio Jones. They got a decent run game. Their defense is suspect, just like New Orleans' defense is suspect. I give it to New Orleans just a little bit on the fact of they got a chip on their shoulder. The league, they're like, okay, everybody's up against us, so we're gonna go show and prove. So I give them 11-5, 10-6. They'll win that.
I want to give a shout out to my man Jay Savior, Grizzy Jr.
Hey.
St. Louis Rams coming in last place again in the NFC West.
That what you say?
Hopefully, because that's his team. So, but I just don't see how the Rams make a move this year in the NFC West. I still see San Francisco as the class of that division. San Francisco. Arizona, Seattle, kind of a toss-up, but I just don't see St. Louis doing much there. Since I just called out your boy, Grizzy, why don't you? I called out your flesh and blood. Give me your thoughts on that division.
I concur. I mean, St. Louis has the problem with St. Louis is that even though Jeff Fisher's there, he might give them another victory on top of what they were last year, and I think they were like 3-13, so 5-11 at best. just to pick out the top. To pick somebody out of that division, Seattle, Russell Wilson.
Sleeper?
Yeah, they're the sleeper team. I think if he comes up like a Cam Newton may have did last year, they might be in the mix and give San Fran some trouble.
Yep, San Francisco. Seattle is a team that has nothing to lose.
Exactly.
Absolutely nothing. They got Russell Wilson back there. They got Marshawn Lynch. You got a bunch of receivers you don't know. They got absolutely nothing to lose. And they may
Sidney Rice.
They got absolutely nothing to lose. And they may sneak in and take a playoff spot.
Carlton Banks.
Yeah, they might.
Jay Savior, whatever your name is. Again, you remember you drafted a quarterback number 1. He still ain't proved, whereas my quarterback is undrafted and has proven a lot.
He got lucky with that.
So anyway, the Rams will still be at the bottom. They may go another 1-15 this season. San Fran's definitely going to win the division.
Jeff Fisher helped him out.
I mean, Jeff Fisher is going to, okay. Anyway, 1-15. San Fran's going to win the division. Seattle's going to come in second. Arizona will be third. They're going to go 2-14.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're moving on to our socially conscious and entertainment hour. Hit us up. We got a missing child, the Fishbowl, 804-447-0601. We got the dating pool diva in the building with us. We're going to introduce her more officially in the next segment. Marcus J. and I half stepping. Welcome to the jungle. We'll be back in a minute.